Live from the chicken wing capital of the world, Buffalo, New York. You're listening to the Childcare Bridge Podcast, your source for the best tips, tools, and tactics on how to market and grow your childcare center, ensuring total domination. Total domination. This is the Childcare Bridge, and this is your host, Michael Tasner.
Hey there, and welcome to this week's episode of the Childcare Bridge. Today's topic is all about making sure that you are delivering a wow experience. For a lot of centers, the next couple of weeks are the core back-to-school season. So you most likely have already started to get that influx of new enrollments. For a lot of schools on the East Coast, next week is traditionally that first week. Now, other centers have already started, so you're a little bit behind the eight ball by way of the content I'm going to teach you, but I'm sure that it can help move the needle in the right direction regardless. So before I kind of go into the tactics, I need you to kind of put yourself in the shoes of a parent. And let's look at all the different types of parent personas. So you might have a lot of preschoolers. That persona often, if you've never seen the child before and they've never been in a preschool setting, the mom, the dad, they're going to be very nervous. Like their quote unquote baby, if it's their youngest, is going to school for the first time. They've been at home. So if I look at my situation, for example, I kind of fit into that realm, but many, many years ago, where when we were dropping off my twin boys that are now 15, they had never been to a preschool. We never sent them as an infant or two, three. We sent them to preschool. So our mindset was like, is this the right thing? Are we doing the right thing? Should they be staying home with us? Should we be training them ourselves? Like all these different emotions are running through. If it's a new parent that is dropping off an infant, for example, imagine that persona and the mindset and the space that they're in. They had this child that could be 12 weeks, it could be 6 months. Every center is different in terms of the age that you're willing to take an infant. But those moms and dads, they're going to have a little bit of guilt of like, should we be staying home for the first year or two? Again, are we making the right decision? Is our son or daughter going to be safe? All these different things are running through their mind. So what you need to look at, especially over the next couple of weeks, is you need to take a step back and look at all of your systems and processes for parent communication. The worst thing that you can do in any kind of new relationship, and I'm referring to the relationship with the parents or parent, the worst thing you can do is to not communicate enough. Now, enough and efficient or effective, these are all different things we're going to unpack. But we're going to look at the first one of being enough. So step one, you want to look at how you can make sure that you are over communicating the first 30 days of a new relationship. I want to look at how many touch points do you currently have planned? How many have you done in the past? Now, the chances are pretty high that you're going to tell me something like once a week for the first month, and then usually once or twice a month, and maybe you'll tell me once or twice a week. In some cases, you're going to tell me you have the daily update, which we'll talk about that in just a second. But in these cases, I'm referring to more of the extra touch points, the proactive touch points that are letting the parent know everything is going well, you've made the right decision, we're taking care of little Jimmy, little Sarah. You're letting them know that the child is in good hands. Initially speaking, those first couple of weeks, they're not as focused on how many activities are the kids going to be doing, all the food exactly that they're eating, unless they're an infant, for example. They're not as focused on when's the next open house. They're focused on making sure that they made the right decision. The right decision. So when you look at the next couple of weeks of that amount of communication, you want to make sure that it's proactive, and it's more than you have done in the past and more that you probably planned on doing, unless you can tell me with a straight face that you are communicating to that parent every single day. Now, there's a little bit of a difference between the apps that are communicating with families every single day and doing some additional communication. So let me unpack that a little bit. Lots and lots of different apps. We have used every single app under the sun, literally all of them. And there's pros and cons to each and every single one of them. But there are a lot of apps that allow the parent to be signed in and to see what's going on during the day. They can see when the child was changed, for example, if it's an infant, when they got fed, nap time, and they can see a daily summary. What I love about that stuff and those apps is that as long as the parent is using it on the other side, they are going to be very overly informed. Now, as you start to embark on those, the key is the consistency. You can't start off strong, set the expectation that they can go in throughout the day and see updates. Because what will end up happening is, let's say you do that flawlessly for 30 days. And then October comes rolling around, you skip a day, you miss a Thursday, next week, you miss half a day. They're going to make it part of their daily routine to where they're checking the status, they're checking in. And the minute that that is not accurate or not up to date from your side, they're going to, like that, start to question things. Is everything okay? They're going to call in a panic. I haven't seen an update. Is what's going on? So if you're going to use those and you're going to set the expectation to the family that every day and even throughout the day, we're going to have updates and you can check them on this app, you have to make sure that your systems and processes are very, very tight so that you never miss a day, you never miss an update. Like it literally has to force like a checklist so that it's done, that you can't walk out the door unless everything has been fully updated. Now, consistency, proactiveness, quantity, as I said, those are all important. The effective communication is another aspect. So what do I mean by effective communication? You need to understand from the parents what additional, if any, communication they're looking for. So if you have your baseline, I'll just stick with infants just for a minute. If your baseline for infants is daily update on the app, it's going to show feedings, nap time, any issues, and a little daily summary. That can be the baseline, and that's a very strong baseline. If the parent is looking for more, example, did they take any steps today? What did they play with? Did you read to them? If they're looking for other things that you haven't communicated or they haven't communicated, that's one of those effective miscommunications where they're thinking one thing, you're thinking something different. So what I found in working with hundreds of childcare centers is that we try and flush those things out in the first couple of weeks from the families, and we flush it out by simply asking, Mr. or Mrs. So I know that you've been getting the daily updates. I can see you checking them. I've seen your responses and questions, and we sent things back. Is there anything else that you would like to see from us to make sure that we are overly communicating and we're being effective in our communication to you so that you know your son, your daughter is well taken care of? Is there anything else that we could help you with? And then you just pause and you wait for an answer. The chances are pretty high that they're going to say something, but it's going to typically be something very small. Or they're going to say, nope, love it. You have updates throughout the day. I look at my lunchtime and I look at the update right before I come to pick up my son. Love it. You're doing an amazing job. Thank you ever so much. Those daily updates give me the peace of mind that I'm looking for. Now, if they say something like, really appreciate the daily updates, however, I would love to see X, as long as you can provide X, whatever they're looking for, then you want to agree to it, but you need to revise your systems and processes so that, again, you don't fall in that trap to where you're expecting to do your consistent daily updates. You agreed to tell them about something, and that didn't happen. These first 30, 60 days are the most critical. Parents are second guessing that you're the right fit. The director, they're literally micro-analyzing every little detail, which we're going to further talk about in just a minute. So we have found the best way to make sure that things are moving in the right direction is by, again, over-communicating. So at minimum, we're looking for you to be providing daily updates. So whether that goes through an app, whether that goes through an email every single day, a lot of centers still do a written form that the parent can read. and then making it easy for them to get feedback and provide questions, comments, thoughts to you, and not let something boil up. Well, I've got your updates the last 2 months, but I've been looking for something else. Well, you might be like, well, you never communicated that to me. Okay, well, let's kind of talk that through a little bit and sort that out. So effective, consistent communication. That is the first thing, and that thing alone, and I know it's not a small thing, can definitely help alleviate any potential roadblocks that might come up, any other issues, other questions. You're keeping the communication lines flowing. And this goes with any business. In a new relationship, you want to overly communicate. I want to be sending extra stuff, extra pictures, extra videos. And then I want to try and maintain that as much as I can so that they don't get one experience in the beginning and then it changes on a dime and all of a sudden like New Year's rolls around and you're second guessing the center because they've been missing updates. Their communication fell off a little bit. They used to start off by giving you pictures once a week and that fell off. So you have to have your systems and processes dialed in to make sure you can accommodate these things and make them happen like clockwork. The second aspect to this, again, is a parent is going to be microanalyzing everything. So your cleaning game needs to be better than ever. Your security protocols, the attitude of your team, your directors, the owners, everything needs to be on point. Again, if you reverse back to the beginning of this episode, and I've talked about parents are looking for reasons to disenroll, change centers, second guess themselves. Oh, no, I tried it for a month, just didn't jive. I didn't love the amount of communication. I walked in the one day and there was like dirt all over the floor. I was able to buzz myself in without putting a code in. The cameras weren't working the one day. The playground, there was a latch open. Like they're looking for all those things. And some of those are smaller. Dirt on the ground can be cleaned up. But a latch open on the playground door, that's a different story. So your A game needs to be not only A, but A plus flawless. And then from there, you obviously want to continue to provide the highest level of care you can, but they're going to be a little bit more forgiving after the first couple of months when they see you're providing a lot of great updates, your son or daughter is enjoying it there. They're seeing things in a great light, all the things you talked about, the curriculum, great organic food, constant communication, cameras if there's ever an issue, teachers that are well trained, a director with 20 years experience, all these things that you've promised start to show their fruition. They start to come true. The parent will be a little bit more forgiving if something goes awry. The other reason that I'm looking for all these things to be on their A+ game is not just because I want to make sure you don't have any disenrollments, but one of our favorite times to do a referral contest or a testimonial contest. So asking parents, hey, I'd love to get your feedback. I know that you've been here for a couple of months. Could you share your experience? Hey, I know that you've been here for a few months. Are there any other families that are like you and your wonderful family that would be interested in coming here? One of the best times to do that is when things are still a little bit fresh, but they're not like a week into it. You're not going to ask for a testimonial 1 week in, but I like to ask for it roughly at the 75 to 90 day mark. Christmas time, the holiday time is one of the best times to ask. People are in a little bit of a better mood. Their holiday part, like they're more joyful and giving. They tend to be a little bit easier by way of giving a testimonial or an endorsement. So your key, regardless of if you started a couple of weeks ago, you're getting ready to start up with a new batch of families, is to make sure that your communication is on point. Quantity, quality, the effectiveness, two-way communication, updating, making tweaks, making changes based on that communication. The second area, which is an overarching, is to make sure that all those little micro things are flawless. Safety, cleanliness, the food, how the kids are leaving the center, so their clothes aren't all disheveled and everything is all over the place, and not sending them home in a dirty diaper, for example. All those things that you have into your systems and processes, they need to be flawless. Now, if I had my way, I would say that they'd be flawless 24/7, but that's not reality. That's someone that they're not necessarily going to mess up, but maybe the parent comes an hour early and you are getting ready to change the diaper in 5 minutes. Like those things will come up, but they will, again, be more forgiving on those things if you had brought your A game, you overly communicate, and you keep the lines of communication open. The most amount of disenrollments that we have seen come from centers is when there's not enough communication. There's something that goes out, it's this, you keep everything standardized, but you don't ask, is there anything else that we can answer? How, like, are you concerned about X? And you don't even have to use the word concerned. Would this be helpful? Is there anything else that would keep your peace of mind as high as it has been? What else can we do to communicate more effectively to you to just keep things organized for you and on point? Do that. Your enrollments will stay longer. You'll get more testimonials, more referrals. Every aspect in your business wins. As always, leave a comment, share, like, make sure you're subscribed to our podcast. Have a great rest of your day. It's Michael Tasner signing off. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night.